Part 1. The containment field hummed as Lieutenant Kate Morrison stepped into the interrogation chamber. 3 days ago, the alien vessel had appeared in Earth's orbit, without warning, without signal, without any comprehensible attempt at communication. Now she stood face to face with the first extraterrestrial contact humanity had ever made, and every government on the planet was watching through the feeds. The creature before her was tall, impossibly so, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Its 6 arms were folded in a pattern that seemed ceremonial, and around its neck hung a pendant that pulsed with soft blue light. In one of its lower hands it clutched a staff made of something that looked like crystallized starlight. Kate had been chosen for this moment because of her linguistics background, her 12 years working with dead languages, her ability to find patterns where others saw only chaos. But nothing had prepared her for the sound that came from the alien when it finally spoke. The words were layered, multiple tones at once, like a choir singing in harmony with itself. She listened, waited, recorded everything. Then it happened. Buried in the cascade of sounds, she caught something. Phoneme, then another. Her heart began to race as recognition flooded through her mind. It was impossible, completely impossible, but she knew these sounds. She had spent 2 years of her doctoral program studying them, had written her dissertation on their structure and syntax. The alien was speaking Sumerian, not modern reconstruction, not the academic approximation that scholars argued about in dusty university halls. This was pure, fluent, native-speaker Sumerian, a language that had been dead for over 4,000 years. Kate's hands trembled as she activated her translator pad. The alien priest, for that was clearly what it was, watched her with eyes that held depths she could not fathom. She began to speak, pulling words from memory, from years of study, from countless hours of practice with recordings that were themselves reconstructions of reconstructions. Her voice shaped the ancient syllables carefully, precisely. She spoke the formal greeting, the words that scribes had once carved into clay tablets in the city of Ur. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien's entire body went rigid. Its eyes widened, all 6 of its arms spreading outward in what could only be shock. The staff it had been holding clattered to the floor, the sound echoing in the silent chamber. The creature's mouth opened, and from it came a single word, barely a whisper, repeated over and over. Through the observation window, Kate could see the security team reaching for their weapons. She held up her hand, signaling them to stand down. The alien was not threatening. It was terrified. Or perhaps, she realized as she watched its face, it was something else entirely. Something closer to awe. The priest moved closer to the containment field, its whisper growing louder, more insistent. Kate leaned in, straining to hear. And then she understood what it was saying. Daughter of the Ancient Ones, the children have remembered. The circle closes once more. Part 2. General Lucas Hayes burst into the observation room, his face red with barely contained fury. Behind him, 3 scientists scrambled to keep up, their tablets clutched to their chests like shields. Kate could see them through the one-way glass, could see the chaos her simple greeting had unleashed. She kept her focus on the alien priest. It had not moved from its position near the containment field, had not stopped staring at her with those impossibly deep eyes. The staff still lay on the floor where it had fallen, but the pendant around its neck now blazed with lights so bright the cameras had to adjust their exposure. Her earpiece crackled to life. Hayes's voice was sharp, demanding. Morrison, what the hell did you say to that thing? Every reading we have just went off the charts. The ship in orbit is powering up weapon systems. Explain. Now. Kate touched her throat mic. Sir, it's speaking Sumerian. Ancient Sumerian. I responded in kind with a formal greeting. Silence. Then Hayes again, his voice tight. That's impossible! Sumerian has been dead for millennia. There's no way an alien species would know it. And yet here we are, sir. Kate turned back to the priest. I need to continue the dialogue. Whatever this is, whatever connection exists between humanity and this species, it's buried in our oldest history. If we stop now, we may never get another chance. She did not wait for permission. The alien priest had begun speaking again, its voice carrying a weight of ages. Kate listened, her mind racing to keep up with the flow of words. The language was complex, full of grammatical structures that academics had argued about for decades. But here it was, alive and fluid, spoken by a being from another world. The priest spoke of a time before time, of a great civilization that had spread across the stars when Earth was still young. They had come to this small blue world, had found primitive humans struggling to survive in the Mesopotamian valley. They had taught them agriculture, mathematics, writing. They had given them the tools to build cities, to create art, to reach for something greater than mere survival. Kate felt her worldview cracking. Everything she had learned, everything she had studied about the origins of civilization was being rewritten in real time. Sumerian had not developed naturally. It had been a gift, a seed planted by beings from the stars. Why? She asked in Sumerian, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. Why did you help us? The priest's expression shifted, became something that might have been sadness. Because we were dying, it replied. Our species had reached its end. We had lived for millions of years, had seen galaxies born and die, had accumulated knowledge beyond measure, but we could not save ourselves from the slow fade of entropy. So we chose to give our legacy to those who might carry it forward. To you. And then what? You left? We slept. The priest gestured upward, toward the ship in orbit. We built vessels that would drift through the cosmos, waiting, watching. We seeded our knowledge across 1,000 worlds, hoping that one day one of those seeds would grow into something magnificent, that one day the children would be ready to hear the full truth. Kate's mind reeled. How long have you been waiting? By your reckoning, 6,000 years. We have orbited your sun 300 times, always cloaked, always observing. We watched your species spread across your world. We watched you stumble, and fall, and rise again. We watched you split the atom and reach for the moon, and we waited for the moment when one of you would remember the old tongue, the moment when the circle would close. General Hayes's voice exploded in her ear. Morrison, we have a situation. The alien ship is descending. They're heading straight for the Middle East. Iraq, specifically. The ruins of Ur. We need to shut this down now. Kate ignored him. What happens now? She asked the priest. Now that the circle is closed? The priest moved closer, until its face was mere inches from the containment field. When it spoke, its voice was gentle, almost tender. Now, daughter of the Ancient Ones, you choose. We have come to offer you what was offered to us long ago when we were young, and the universe was different. We offer you the stars. We offer you our ships, our technology, our accumulated wisdom. We offer you a place among the elder races, those who have endured long enough to see the cosmos as it truly is. And what do you want in return? Nothing. This is our gift, freely given. But know this. Once you accept, there is no going back. Your species will change. You will become something new, something that reaches beyond the boundaries of this small world. Some will embrace it, others will fight it. The transition will be difficult, perhaps painful. But on the other side lies infinity. Kate stood silent, the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders. Through the observation window, she could see Hayes making frantic calls, could see military personnel mobilizing. The world was about to change, whether humanity was ready or not. She thought about the ancient Sumerians, about people who had lived thousands of years ago, who had looked up at the stars and dreamed of gods. They had not known that their gods were real, were aliens who had chosen to gift them with knowledge beyond their understanding. And now that gift was being offered again, but this time to all of humanity. I need to consult with my people, Kate said carefully in Sumerian. This is not a decision one person can make. The priest inclined its head. We understand. We will wait, but not forever. The ship at Ur is already preparing the site. When you are ready, come to the place where it all began. Come to the ziggurat where your ancestors first learned to write our words. There we will show you the gateway. There the true journey will begin. Part 3. The world did not take the news well. Within 6 hours of Kate's conversation being leaked to the press, riots had broken out in 14 major cities. Religious leaders condemned the aliens as demons, while others hailed them as angels. Scientists demanded access to the technology. Politicians demanded control. And through it all, the alien ship hovered over the ruins of Ur, a silent sentinel waiting for humanity's decision. Kate sat in a secure briefing room deep beneath the Pentagon, surrounded by faces she had only seen on television. The president was on video link from an undisclosed location. The Joint Chiefs sat stone-faced around the conference table. Representatives from the United Nations, from NASA, from every major space program on Earth crowded the room or joined via secure feeds. Let me be clear about something, the Secretary of Defense said, his voice cutting through the murmur of conversation. We have confirmed that the ship over Iraq contains enough firepower to sterilize the planet. If this is some kind of invasion, if they're waiting for us to lower our guard, we need to strike first and strike hard. Kate shook her head. That's not what this is. You heard the translation. They're offering us a choice, not an ultimatum. A choice they forced on us by appearing without warning and speaking in a dead language that only a handful of people on Earth can understand. This from the UN representative, a stern woman from Germany. How is that not coercion? Because they could have simply taken what they wanted, Kate replied. They've been watching us for 6,000 years. They have technology so far beyond ours that we might as well be comparing stone tools to nuclear weapons. If they wanted to conquer us, they would have done it already. Director Chen of NASA leaned forward. What I want to know is how much of human history has been influenced by these beings. If they taught us agriculture, writing, mathematics, what else did they give us? Are we even a naturally evolved species, or are we some kind of genetic experiment? Kate had been thinking about the same question. The priest said they gave us tools and knowledge, not that they changed us genetically. We're still human. We just had help getting started. Help we never asked for, someone muttered. The president's voice crackled through the speakers. Lieutenant Morrison, you're the only person who can communicate with these beings. What's your assessment? Do you trust them? Kate took a deep breath. Sir, I believe they're telling the truth. The way the priest spoke, the emotion in its voice when it talked about their dying civilization, that wasn't deception. They see us as their legacy, their children. And now they want to give us the chance to grow beyond this world. And you think we should accept? I think we should at least see what they're offering before we make any decisions. They've invited me to to the site where Sumerian civilization began. Let me go. Let me learn what they want to show us. Absolutely not, General Hayes said immediately. It's too dangerous. We send you into that ship, we may never see you again. Then send a team. Send security, send scientists, send whoever you want. But somebody has to go. If we reject this offer out of fear, if we hide behind our walls and our weapons, we'll never know what we could have become. The room erupted in argument. Some agreed with Kate. Others insisted on military action. The debate raged for 2 hours, going in circles, achieving nothing. And all the while, Kate could feel time slipping away. The priest had said they would not wait forever. At some point, the window of opportunity would close. Finally, the president made the decision. We send a delegation. Lieutenant Morrison will lead it, accompanied by a security team and a scientific advisory group. They will travel to and meet with the aliens. They will assess the situation and report back. And if at any point we determine that this is a threat, we will respond with appropriate force. Kate felt relief wash over her, followed immediately by a wave of anxiety. She was about to walk into an alien ship, about to see technology that humanity had only dreamed of, about to learn secrets that had been hidden for millennia. 3 days later, she stood at the edge of the excavation site in Iraq, looking up at the massive vessel that hovered impossibly above the ancient ruins. It was bigger than any human structure, a cathedral of metal and crystal that seemed to bend light around itself. The security team flanked her, their weapons ready but lowered. The scientists clutched their instruments, their eyes wide with wonder and fear. The priest descended from the ship on a platform of pure light. It moved with grace, its 6 arms held in what Kate now recognized as a gesture of peace. When it reached the ground, it spoke in Sumerian, its voice carrying across the dig site. Welcome, children of Earth. Welcome to the place where the first seeds were planted. Come, let me show you what was built with the knowledge we gave you. The platform expanded to accommodate the entire group. Kate felt a moment of vertigo as they lifted off the ground, rising toward the belly of the ship. The entrance irised open, revealing a corridor of impossible geometry. The walls seemed to shift and change as they walked, displaying images from Earth's history. She saw the first Sumerian city-states. She saw the pyramids being built. She saw the Library of Alexandria. She saw every great achievement of human civilization, all documented, all preserved. You have been watching us this entire time, Kate said. Always, the priest replied. We could not intervene, could not help you directly. That was part of the gift. You had to grow on your own, had to find your own path. But we were always here, always hoping you would survive long enough to reach this moment. They entered a vast chamber at the heart of the ship. At its center stood a device that Kate could not begin to describe. It was geometric and organic all at once, pulsing with energy that made her teeth ache. Around it, holographic displays showed star maps, equations, blueprints for technology that seemed to violate the laws of physics. This is the gateway, the priest said. the key to everything we are offering. With this technology, your species can spread across the galaxy. You can terraform dead worlds, can travel between stars in days instead of centuries. You can cure disease, can extend your lives, and reshape reality itself at the quantum level. One of the scientists, a physicist named Greg Palmer, stepped forward. His voice was shaking. This is beyond anything we've theorized. It would take us centuries to understand even the basics, which is why we will teach you, the priest said, just as we taught your ancestors. But this time, there will be no mystery, no legends. We will share everything openly, freely. We will show you how to build ships like this one. We will show you how to communicate across light years instantly. We will show you how to harness the energy of stars. Kate felt dizzy. The scope of what was being offered was too vast to comprehend. Humanity had been struggling to establish a permanent presence on Mars, and now they were being handed the keys to the entire galaxy. Why now? She asked. Why wait 6,000 years? Why not offer this to us sooner? The priest's expression became somber. Because you were not ready. You had to develop your own ethics, your own sense of right and wrong. You had to learn to work together, to overcome your tribal instincts. We gave knowledge to civilizations before, civilizations that destroyed themselves with it. We would not make that mistake again. Part 4. The return to Earth was chaos. Kate's team brought back data that would take decades to fully analyze, images of technology that rewrote the textbooks overnight. The priest had allowed them to record everything, had answered every question with patience and clarity, but the core message remained unchanged. Humanity had to choose whether to accept the gift or walk away. The debate that followed consumed the world. Every news channel, every social media platform, every government assembly became a battleground of opinion. Those in favor argued that refusing would condemn humanity to eventual extinction, that staying confined to Earth was a death sentence in a universe full of dangers. Those opposed claimed that accepting alien technology would destroy human culture, would make them dependent on beings they barely understood, would fundamentally change what it meant to be human. Kate found herself at the center of it all, giving interviews, testifying before congressional committees, trying to explain something that was almost beyond explanation. She had seen the gateway. She had felt the potential of it humming through her bones. She knew with absolute certainty that this was real, that the offer was genuine, that humanity stood at a crossroads unlike any in its history. But she also understood the fear. Change was terrifying, especially change of this magnitude. People clung to what they knew, to the familiar boundaries of their world. The idea of stepping beyond those boundaries, of becoming something new, was more than many could accept. 6 weeks after the initial contact, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered at the United Nations. The priest had agreed to attend via holographic projection, had agreed to answer questions directly. Kate stood beside the projection, serving as translator, even though the UN had by now trained dozens of linguists in Sumerian. The Secretary General opened the session. We have listened to the arguments on all sides. We have consulted with scientists, religious leaders, philosophers, and ordinary citizens. Now we must make a decision that will affect the entire human race. Before we vote, I would like to ask our visitor one final question. If we refuse your offer, what happens next? The priest's hologram flickered, its 6 arms folding in a gesture that Kate had learned meant contemplation. We will respect your choice, it said through Kate's translation. We will return to our slumber, we'll continue our orbit around your sun, and we'll wait. Perhaps in another 1,000 years your descendants will be ready, or perhaps you will never accept. Either way, we will not force this upon you. And if we accept but later regret it, can this be undone? Knowledge once given cannot be taken back. The technology we offer will change your civilization irreversibly, but you will always remain yourselves, the core of what makes you human, your creativity, your capacity for love and wonder and curiosity. That cannot be altered by technology. It can only be enhanced. A delegate from China stood. You say you've offered this to other species. How many accepted? How many refused? Of the 47 species we have contacted across the eons, 32 accepted, 15 refused. Of those who accepted, 28 still exist, spread across the galaxy thriving. 4 destroyed themselves through internal conflict. Of those who refused, 9 are extinct, victims of natural disasters or resource depletion. 6 remain on their home worlds, largely unchanged. The numbers hung in the air like a sword. More than half of those who refused had gone extinct, The message was clear without being threatening. The universe was dangerous. Isolation was not safety. A priest from the Vatican spoke next, his voice trembling with emotion. You claim to have helped our ancestors, to have taught them civilization. But our faith teaches that our achievements come from God, from divine inspiration. How do we reconcile your presence with our beliefs? The alien priest tilted its head. We do not ask you to abandon your faith. We are not gods, merely a very old species that chose to help a younger one. If you believe a divine hand guided us to your world, guided us to help you, we will not dispute that. We do not claim to know the ultimate truth of existence. We know only what we have experienced, what we have learned in our millions of years. And one thing we have learned is that the universe is far stranger, far more wonderful, than any one species can comprehend. The debate continued for hours. Arguments were made, refuted, made again, but slowly, Kate began to see a shift in the room. Fear was giving way to curiosity. Resistance was giving way to possibility. People were beginning to imagine what humanity could become with the stars within reach. When the vote finally came, it was not unanimous. 43 nations voted to accept. 27 voted to refuse. The remaining nations abstained. By the rules that had been agreed upon beforehand, a simple majority was enough. Humanity had chosen to accept the gift. Kate felt tears streaming down her face. The priest's hologram turned to her, and she could see something like pride in its alien features. You have made a brave choice, it said. Now the real work begins. Over the next 6 months, the world transformed. The priest's ship was not alone. 12 more vessels emerged from cloaking fields around Earth's orbit, each one carrying teachers, scientists, engineers from the ancient alien civilization. They landed at designated sites around the globe. Construction began on facilities where humans could learn the new technologies. Kate was assigned to the primary teaching center, built in the Nevada desert not far from Area 51. The irony was not lost on anyone. For decades, conspiracy theorists had claimed aliens were being studied there. Now it was actually happening, but openly, with cameras broadcasting every moment to the world. She spent her days learning alongside the brightest minds humanity had to offer. The technology was complex almost beyond understanding, but the alien teachers were patient. They broke down concepts into digestible pieces, used metaphors and analogies, connected the advanced science to principles humans already understood, and slowly, impossibly, it began to make sense. The first human-built test ship lifted off 8 months after the vote. It was crude compared to the alien vessels cobbled together from their technology and human engineering, but it worked. It reached the moon in 4 hours. It could have gone farther, but Mission Control called it back, unwilling to risk the crew on a longer journey until more testing had been done. Kate watched the landing broadcast from the teaching center, watched the crew emerge from the ship with expressions of pure joy. This was just the beginning. Within a decade, humans would have colonies on Mars, on the moons of Jupiter, on distant worlds circling other stars. Within a century, humanity would be a true spacefaring species, would take its place among the elder races. But not everyone was celebrating. The nations that had voted against acceptance had closed their borders, had refused to participate in the new age. Tensions were rising. Some called them cowards, others called them the only sane ones left. Violence had broken out in several regions. The transition, as the priest had warned, was proving difficult and painful. Kate tried not to think about it. She focused on her studies, on the incredible knowledge being shared with her. But late at night, lying in her quarters, she wondered if humanity had made the right choice. They had gained the stars, but what had they lost? Part 5, 2 years after first contact, Kate stood on the observation deck of the Horizon, humanity's first true starship, and watched Earth shrink to a blue marble behind her. They were heading for Proxima Centauri, a journey that would have taken 40,000 years with conventional propulsion. With the Gateway Drive, they would arrive in 3 days. The crew was small, only 30 people, a mix of scientists, engineers, and explorers. Among them was the alien priest who had started it all, who had dropped its staff in shock when Kate had spoken the ancient words. It stood beside her now, its 6 arms folded, and what she had learned was contentment. "How does it feel?" the priest asked in flawless English. It had learned human languages with the same ease that Kate had learned to operate alien technology. "Surreal," Kate admitted. "I keep expecting to wake up and find this was all a dream. It is very real, and you should be proud. Your species adapted faster than any we have taught before. We expected it to take decades before you could build a ship like this. You did it in 2 years. Kate turned to look at the priest. Not everyone is happy about it. There are still protests, still violence. Some countries have completely isolated themselves. That is natural. Change always creates division. But look at what you have achieved despite that division. Look where you are standing. The priest gestured to the viewport, to the vast expanse of stars stretching in all directions. You are the first of your kind to leave your solar system. You are the first to travel between stars. That is worth celebrating. And when we reach Proxima Centauri? What then? Then you will establish your first colony beyond Earth. Then you will prove that humanity can survive anywhere in the galaxy. Then you will begin to truly understand what it means to be a spacefaring species. The ship shuddered slightly as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewport, a red dwarf star grew larger, and orbiting it, a rocky world that scans had shown to be habitable. Proxima Centauri B, humanity's second home. The crew gathered on the observation deck, watching as their destination approached. Kate could see tears on some faces, could see others grinning like children. This was it. This was the moment they had all worked toward. The moment when humanity stopped being confined to one world and became something greater. Captain Ryan Cole gave the order to enter orbit. The ship responded smoothly, its alien-human hybrid systems working flawlessly. Below them, the surface of Proxima B revealed itself. Oceans. Continents. Weather systems. It was not Earth, but it was close enough. It was a world where humans could live, could build, could thrive. Deploy the construction drones, Ryan ordered. Within minutes, automated systems were descending to the surface, beginning the work of establishing the colony. Prefabricated habitats would be assembled. Life support systems would be activated. Within a month, the first humans would set foot on an alien world. Kate felt the weight of history pressing down on her. Everything that had happened over the past 2 years, all the chaos and wonder and fear, had led to this moment. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They were part of something larger, something that stretched back millions of years and would continue for millions more. What was your species called? She asked the priest suddenly. Before you gave us Sumerian, before you helped us, what did you call yourselves? The priest's expression shifted, became something wistful. We had a name once, in our own language, but that language is dead now, lost to time. We kept Sumerian alive because it was part of our legacy, part of what we gave to you. We are the last of our kind, the few who remain to guide you. When we finally pass, there will be no one left to speak our true name. Kate felt a pang of sadness. These beings had given up everything to help humanity, had waited thousands of years to see their gift bear fruit, and soon they would be gone, remembered only through the technology and knowledge they had shared. We could learn it, she said. Your language. We could keep it alive the way you kept Sumerian alive. The priest looked at her for a long moment. Then it made a sound that might have been laughter. That is very kind. But no, our time has passed. Let our language rest. Instead, remember what we taught you. Remember that knowledge is meant to be shared, that civilizations grow strong by helping each other rather than competing. Remember that the universe is vast and full of wonders, and that you have barely begun to explore it. Down on the surface, the first habitat powered up. Lights appeared in the alien twilight, small beacons of human presence on a world 4 light-years from home. The crew cheered. Someone opened a bottle of champagne that had been smuggled aboard specifically for this moment. Kate accepted a glass, raised it in a toast. To the future, she said. To the stars. To the stars, the crew echoed. The priest raised one of its 6 hands in imitation. To the children of Earth, may you spread your light across the galaxy. May you find others to help as we helped you. May you become the teachers when new species reach for the sky. Kate drank, feeling the bubbles fizz on her tongue. Feeling the warmth spread through her chest, she thought about the ancient Sumerians, about people who had lived so long ago, who had been given the gift of knowledge by beings from the stars. They could never have imagined this moment, could never have dreamed that their descendants would one day stand on alien worlds, would build colonies around distant suns, but they had planted the seeds. They had learned to write, to calculate, to build. They had taken the gift and made it grow. And now, thousands of years later, their descendants were doing the same thing. Taking what had been given and reaching for more. Always reaching. Always growing. The ship's AI announced that the first survey team was ready to descend to the surface. Kate volunteered immediately. She wanted to be among the first to walk on Proxima B, to feel alien soil beneath her feet, to breathe air that had been filtered and processed but still carried the scent of a new world. 30 minutes later, she stood on the surface, looking up at an orange sky dominated by the red dwarf sun. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, giving her movements a dreamlike quality. The air was thin but breathable. Temperature was cooler than Earth's equator but warmer than the poles. It was different but not hostile. It was a place where humans could live. Kate removed her helmet, feeling the alien breeze on her face. Protocol said she should keep it on until extensive testing had been completed, but she did not care. She wanted to experience this moment fully, wanted to mark it as something real and immediate. She took a deep breath, tasted the strange mineral quality of the air, and smiled. She was standing on another world, but she was the first human in history to do so. And this was just the beginning. Behind her, more ships were being built, more colonies were being planned. Mars, Europa, Titan, and now Proxima B. Within a generation, humanity would have dozens of worlds. Within a century, hundreds. Within a millennium, they would be everywhere, would have spread across the galaxy like their ancient alien teachers. The priest had given them the stars. Now it was up to humanity to decide what to do with them. Kate hoped they would choose wisely. Hoped they would remember the lessons they had learned. Hoped they would become the teachers in turn, would help younger species the way they had been helped. She looked back at the horizon, silhouetted against the orange sky, and felt a surge of hope. Humanity had problems, had divisions and conflicts that would take generations to resolve, but they also had something precious. They had the chance to be better, to grow beyond their limitations, to become something magnificent. The alien priest had called them children of the Ancient Ones, but Kate knew they were more than that. They were the inheritors of a legacy that stretched back millions of years. They were the bridge between the old galaxy and the new, and they were just getting started. She placed her hand on the alien soil, feeling the cool grit between her fingers. This world would have a name soon. This colony would grow into a city, into a civilization. And someday, humans born here would look up at the sky and dream of traveling even farther, of exploring even deeper into the cosmos. The circle had closed. The gift had been given. And now, finally, humanity was ready to give back, ready to take its place among the stars, ready to become something more than it had ever been before. Kate stood and walked toward the habitat, where her crew was waiting, where work was beginning on humanity's second home. Behind her, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold. Ahead of her, lights blazed in the growing darkness, proof that humans had come to this world and would not leave. The future stretched before her, vast and unknown and full of infinite possibility. And for the first time since the alien ship had appeared in Earth's orbit, Kate felt no fear, only excitement, only wonder, only the burning desire to see what came next. The story of humanity had begun in the dust of ancient Mesopotamia, when beings from the stars had taught them to write. Now that story was continuing on a world circling a different sun, and it would continue for as long as humans existed, for as long as they kept reaching, kept learning, kept pushing against the boundaries of the possible. Kate smiled and stepped into the habitat, ready to begin the next chapter.